Ladies and gents, welcome in. It's a great Monday, game week. Notre Dame, Indiana, CFP. And this is the Lucky Lefty podcast. The Onora boys are in the building, and we're brought to you by Onora Whiskey, OnoraWhiskey.com. It is definitely that premium American whiskey, OnoraWhiskey.com. And ladies and gentlemen, if you're going to drink, by all means, make sure you do it
responsibly.
Let's get it. Lucky Lefty podcast. Malik, ZAIRE, Shaun Davis. Go subscribe. YouTube. Make sure you hit that thumbs up. Leave your comments, questions. Matter of fact, GTB questions, put them in the chat. Super chats, put them in the chat. We'll get to them as soon as we see them because we spin it different. Patreon.com/Lucky Lefty Network, Lucky Legends Podcast, Players Only Podcast, audio edibles each and every day. CFB Nation, Spotify, Apple Podcasts. That's right, we're the home of the misguided passion. Forever committed to making sure that we spin it different. Left, how you feeling, boy?
Another day, another dollar, man. Excited. Get our first Snow Bowl playoff game, and we get a chance to prove we're the best team in Indiana. Not that we didn't know already, but it's a double whammy. You know, they say you kill two birds with one stone, and it's a really good way to kick off the playoffs in South Bend.
You know, it's funny because are we looking at this best team in Indiana from a year-to-year standpoint or a program standpoint? Because Indiana doesn't have a leg to stand on historically. I guess they're looking at this from a year-to-year standpoint. And I'm going to be honest. I think a can of whoop is about to get open on Friday night. It's really early, but that's the vibe I'm getting. That's really the vibe I'm getting. And I could be wrong. 7.5-point favorites against Indiana. I'm just looking at the matchup and I'm saying to myself, if Notre Dame plays their game, let's say Notre Dame plays a B-plus game, left, just B-plus. I'm not even asking for an A. If Notre Dame plays a B-plus game, it's a double-digit win. And that's not being disrespectful. A lot of people, oh, you're disrespecting this Indiana team. No, I'm not. No, I'm not. No, I'm not. This is about matchups. Notre Dame will be, if not, the most physical team that Indiana has faced all year.
By far.
The two most physical teams that Indiana faced, Michigan at home,
Ohio State,
and Ohio State, they struggled offensively. This isn't rocket science, man. This isn't rocket science. Last I checked, football is still about physicality in the trenches and dictating. Michigan was able to dictate the style of game by their physical play to Indiana. Ohio State was able to dictate the style of game by the physical play. Notre Dame is going to be the most physical team that Indiana will face. Notre Dame should be able, and I believe they will be able, to dictate the style of play. It's going to be very difficult for Indiana to dictate the style of play. That's the first key for me. That's the first key for me. It's just very easy to look at. And as Bill Jefferson says in the chat, Michigan's offense was awful. If Michigan had any type of offense, they would have dictated even more in that game. Howard Cross coming back is absolutely.
It would have been a blowout.
Oh, man. Man, and sometimes it is like what we talk about all year. And I see my boy Ryan Roberts in the chat had a good conversation with Double R this morning, and just talking about some things. And look, man, sometimes we throw this word hate around. Left, oh, you're hating. Being objective. I'll give you a perfect example because the word hate is attached to you concerning a certain player on Notre Dame. And people said you were hating because you said there's no way any quarterback coming into a new system can be injured, re-injure themselves in the spring, miss the spring. I'm gonna mute you a little bit, Left, because a little feedback. Miss the spring and then go into fall camp in a competition, supposedly. That does not add up to that quarterback playing well at the beginning of the year. And when you said that, people were like, "Oh, you're hating." That's not hating. That's 1 + 1 = 2. Maybe some people in their fandom didn't allow them to want to believe that or see it, but that is literally 1 + 1 = 2. He's a transfer that needs time to become acquainted with the offense. The coaches need to learn what he does best, and they need to be able to scale and fit the offense around him so that he can get better. And he never got
not singularly a generational talent that can overcome stuff like that. You know, you got to fit him in, work him into the scheme, figure out, like you said, his strengths, because his inefficiencies, which don't make him a complete number 1 first round pick of the draft, is what can hinder you if you just think, oh, we can do whatever. And I think at the beginning we thought we could run and do whatever, and kind of stalled and became frustrated and kind of got lost with our identity, because it became, well, we can't do whatever, and the thing he's good at, can we depend on that and build around that and win off of strictly the 1 or 2 things instead of the 4 or 5 things we think he can do? And I think we saw that in real time. Not that we had any worse team, or, you know, we were working through some injuries in the beginning, but you started to see us figuring things out, especially after the bye week. You saw a team, I don't even think we figured out against Purdue. I just think Purdue's a bad team, and we had to avenge.
You're being generous with bad.
We had to avenge a loss that was catastrophic on an optic scale, right? So I think Purdue was just which I think we set their season ablaze early. We beat them so bad with so many young guys contributing towards the end. Their whole season was in shambles.
Yeah.
So I think that was just unfortunate, because they just happened to be the team out the NIU. You know, I think we would have did that to anybody. But we did see an offense grow. And I think we talked about that with Pat Shermer video about evolving and growing and changing. And I think you got to see us get more comfortable with Riley. And the coaches tell you the truth early. They said he's not a guy he's not the tide that'll rise all boats, but the boats that we have, we can all make him look a lot better and work off of him. And Denbrock showed it through his play calling, and you know, he became a little, which I think he still has habits of Riley is Superman in that red zone when it gets close to the end zone. And it's like, theoretically, it makes a ton of sense. He's 6'4", hard to bring down, blah, blah, blah. However, whenever Riley gets in that red zone area, he has a problem leaving his feet. Now, I don't know if he watches a bunch of Cam Newton videos or he saw the Olympics last year. It was inspired by some of these gymnasts, but he leaves his feet way too often, in short distance yardage, especially towards the end zone, that I just think it just leaves him open for injury possibly, but also you just doing too much, So I think that but as a play caller, you're like, yeah, he's 6'4", he's an extra guy. We use a running back as a blocker, we'll get it for sure. And I think that if he wants to do that, be more creative. I think whenever we decide we're just going to force Riley, it's obvious in our formations and in our play calling. That's all I'm saying. I'm not saying it's a bad idea. I'm just saying when Denbrock's like, all right, Riley, we're going to punch it in. It's obvious when we break the huddle and look at how we line up. It's like, oh, this is a Riley special. It'd be nice to give some different looks and, not that, what I'm saying? Like, I think his best runs are when we don't expect him to run. I think that's where Riley's best plays are made. QB-driven run game, I think, is just a part of what fills up a play sheet, but I don't think that's what singularly makes it. Like, when you called run plays specific for RG3, you're like, okay, something's about to happen. Conversely, where you let Johnny Manziel do his thing, okay, big plays are going to happen. But you're not necessarily calling quarterback counter for Johnny Manziel to do what he does special. But you're calling quarterback counter for a Trevor Lawrence, Cam Newton.
Go ahead and say the name you don't want to say. Go ahead and say the name you don't want to say.
Who I want to say?
You don't want to say Josh Allen, but go ahead and add it to it. I know you didn't. You don't want to say his name.
I don't want to say his name. He has nothing to do with this. But I think that it does make a difference. I think Riley fits more in a quarterback called type of run game. I think his playmaking stems from his ability to not feel comfortable in the pocket. So I do think our strategy moving forward, I think, is perfect for the style of game we have to play this first one. There's going to be a lot of Riley, a lot of Love, a lot of run game in the cold. I think it's a neutral feeling from both teams. I don't think it's like they're going to be more affected by the cold than we are. But I think we'll just wear on them. Like you said, this is a physical game. Ohio State's front four physicality was enough. Now just imagine the whole 11 that's physical on defense. So they're no different than what I think the Georgia Tech score was or what the Georgia Tech game was, a team that has a solid quarterback, but he's not mobile. That's the biggest key. He's a freaking statue. So if you get back there, he's going down. They took 8 sacks. We might get around 7 or 8, just because he's not getting out of the way. And their linemen were giving it up. I don't know if that was just them being shy or whatever, but their linemen weren't very strong. And then I know without Golden's ability to mix and match different blitzes and stunts and the things he does, it's going to be a Georgia Tech score. I think that we have a better run overall defense than Ohio State's. I think structurally Ohio State has a hard time stopping the run from how they're based as a defense. But our two will style maybe one dimensional. I think our best
We're losing your lead. You're breaking up a little bit, Left.
I think our best collection of receivers. I don't think Indiana's doing us anything of a tougher challenge on that end. So I think if we push to start throwing the football in the weather conditions and being down 2 scores and being out physical, I think it's going to be a nice walk to the quarterfinals.
Lucky Lefty podcast. So we're just objective as a podcast and willing to talk about everything. Everything. Never hate. We said Notre Dame. This is no surprise for us. This is what we talked about, ladies and gents. We said Notre Dame would be in the college football playoffs. We said this program at this point has the depth, to be in the playoffs with multiple quarterbacks on the roster. Just because we say multiple quarterbacks on the roster can get Notre Dame to the playoffs in the regular season against this soft schedule doesn't mean we're saying, oh, this guy is better than that guy. No, be happy that this program has been developed by a guy that just earned a 4-year extension from the university because of what he's done. And look at all of the injuries. I'll step out on the limb right now, Left. I watched every single game over the weekend, again, in its entirety. If Notre Dame had the same roster, if they were walking into the college football playoffs with the same roster they walked into College Station with, I would pick Notre Dame to win the national championship. If they had that defense, that healthy front seven, that healthy front four, with Botello and Traore, I guarantee you the line against Indiana would at least be 12 and a half, 11 and 12 and a half, easily. And for their defense to still be playing at the level that they're playing at, the only thing they really can't do is apply pressure from the edges consistently. Because they lost the best two guys they had that did that consistently. And this defense is still masterful in being coached and ran by Al Golden in a masterful way. So once again, this is possibly, because we don't know what the future holds, it has to play out on the field. This could possibly be the access to one of the best eras that modern, or younger, I won't say modern, that modern Notre Dame football has experienced and young Notre Dame football fans will experience. This could be the precipice. This could be the beginning. We'll watch and see. And it starts Friday night, 8 p.m. Central Time, Notre Dame Stadium. Whew, prime time. And oh, by the way, to all the haters, if you watch the ad, the first game they mentioned is Notre Dame, Indiana, even though it's the last game of the day. I just want to point that out. For all of you that talk about Notre Dame needs a conference. No one cares about Notre Dame. To all you Cam Newton haters out there trying to put a slipper on the feet of the Notre Dame football program. Notre Dame ain't no Cinderella. What are you talking about? This isn't a Cinderella story. This is a prodigal son story. This is Notre Dame returning to its greatness. It was great. It is great. Now we're just about to manifest it and show everybody. That's all. That's all. That's all. Nuke Life. No, I'm not concerned about. I'm not concerned about anybody. I won't be concerned until we get to Georgia. If Notre Dame wins and beats Indiana, I'll be concerned about Georgia. No, I'm not concerned. It's Notre Dame's coaches and players that need to be concerned about Indiana. It's not my job to be concerned. It's their job. I'm not concerned. Because I'll say it. If Notre Dame plays a B-plus game, they'll win the game. If they play a B-plus game, they'll win the game by double digits. If they play an A game, it can get ugly. It can get really ugly. And as I said, it's simple to me. It's simple. Very simple. Indiana has not been able to dictate the terms of play against the two most physical teams that they faced. Notre Dame will possibly be the best and most physically gifted team that plays with a level of physicality that Indiana possibly hasn't seen all year. That, for me, is as simple as that. And that, for me, Left, is the concern in a possible quarterfinal matchup against Georgia. You can say whatever you want to say about their quarterback play, about this, that. When the chips are down, Georgia is going to play for physical football, especially with a backup quarterback. How will Notre Dame respond against another team playing physical football? Now I'm starting to get concerned. How will they respond against another coaching staff and program that has been there and knows how to win? And Notre Dame is
Yeah, and
trying
that's
to just
Marcus Freeman's.
figure out how to win.
That's Marcus Freeman's disadvantage already. Going into a game like that. I mean, you watch the Georgia game against Georgia Tech, and just the way that Kirby Smart was just playing to the end. Every overtime, it was timeout, timeout, timeout. Guy got to do this. Oh, we got to do the quarterback. Oh, we timing out. I mean, it's hard to beat a guy like Kirby. And I think for Georgia Tech, the moment was drawn out too long for them. Their time to finish the game was after the first overtime. Because once you start getting into that area of gamesmanship, where experience and championship knowledge has to come in, that's a battle we don't want with Kirby. We don't want that battle. I don't want that battle with Kirby. Just because Marcus Freeman hasn't had enough experience in that arena yet. I mean, we're talking about a guy that lost before this year 3 times in 3 years. Well, 2 times in 3 years.
Yeah.
So this is not I think it's another way college football has set us up in the gauntlet of passing through all of these challenges to get to the top. They wanted to see this matchup. But I do believe that for us, we have to win that game outright. That's a game you put the baby to bed, put the game on Carson Beck's shoulders to beat us. Don't play this stalemate. Let the run games of both teams get us down to the wire, because I just don't like us without the experience yet in a situation like this, where Marcus Freeman's wit and coaching experience has to be matched up with Kirby's.
That's why I actually like the style matchup in the first round for Notre Dame. I really do.
Oh, first round, easy. I really like.
I like the style. Let us go up against this style to get us ready mentally and physically.
With the weather conditions, with the fact that these are our true little brothers of the state of football. Like, there's no other way of putting it. These guys are like bright lights, and their heads are spinning. They can't believe they're in the moment. That's the experience they're having. Yeah. So they'll have some juice, but it's all over the place. With us, it's another game. It's just another home game. The excitement of everything, yeah, but when we lock in, we'll realize, one, Indiana isn't as depth as us. That's their first problem. The second problem is they don't have enough superstars. It's like how they complain about the NBA today. There's just not enough superstars to want to watch the NBA as much when you're leaning everything on a 21-year LeBron James who stepped away, and then a 16, 17-year Steph Curry. Is like, man, it's just no true stars of the game. So Indiana just didn't have enough star power to last. And then you put it on the quarterback that's just having he's no different than a Luke Altmaier, having a great season with the team, and schedule's right, and everything's perfect, but it all comes to the end, because at the end of the day, regardless of them playing Ohio State, they've never seen a team like us. So to prepare these, 2 weeks for that, I just don't think they know what's going to come at them all game. Outside of us doing the little trick things that we do in special teams. And, I think we play a more complete football game than Ohio State does. And for Ohio State to just basically obliterate them up front and give them no answers on the outside, I mean, they just had nothing for them. When it came down to, think about this, even USC's greatest effort, we scored 49 points. So, if Indiana becomes the Indiana basketball team, where they're scoring triple digits and in the high 50s and 60s, then unless Indiana becomes that all of a sudden, I just find it really hard for a team to play complete football in all 3 phases, where a defense is stingy and an offense over time will warm you up, and you'll look up and be like, damn, they scored 40-something points. I didn't even recognize it. They were just playing football. I didn't even recognize. They stole a couple possessions. Now it's 49-38. We thought we was playing good. Yeah, he was playing good. You just got to score a lot of points too. You know what I mean? So how many teams in this playoffs can score a lot of points and also hold a team to less than average? I think that's the equation that we're rocking with, and it's a hard fight for teams that are one-dimensionally great.
Lucky Lefty podcast. So we're going to hear from the Notre Dame players. We're also going to hear from Marcus Freeman. And that's a perfect segue into Notre Dame releasing, I believe, Maria Taylor on the Sunday Night Football broadcast, and then Heather Dinich. They were the first to release it on different platforms. Marcus Freeman gets a 4-year extension from the University of Notre Dame. In that, I want to talk about the nuance of it, Left, but what's your thoughts on the timing? I thought the timing of it, we talked
Yeah, I think when
week.
it comes, I think he's got the Brian Kelly timeline. You prove you can build a program, a consistent program that can win in the 9, 10, 11 range, and we want to make this contract not dependent on these playoff situations just yet, because that's a little unfair, but it also gives you some incentive on you being a quote unquote playoff caliber coach, right? So I think that Notre Dame played it smart by paying him early, unlike these nasty Cowboys that wait forever. And then Marcus Freeman value probably would have been too expensive for the Leprechauns' pockets. So I think they got on it quick. And, he got one of those Patrick Mahomes deals where they pay him a bunch. That looks good now, but probably won't look good 5, 6 years from now. So they sweeten his pocket based off the market today, but the market changes every year. So I'm sure once he proves he's become a playoff caliber type of coach, they'll bump it up a little bit. So in the next 4 years or so, we get a championship. They'll probably put a statue in that contract somewhere, and I think he set himself up nice for the moment. And I do think Notre Dame, of course, being how they are, they knew that it was a time to put in when the stock is low. They went in low, got a greater value out of it. Now they cashed him out right before that spike hit. So I think Notre Dame does what they do, and Marcus Freeman has put himself in a fantastic position, man. And credit to him to be able to be a program builder and not just a good coach. I think it's harder to be a program builder with the parameters. Think about it. Your first head coaching job, they give you a bunch of parameters. They don't pay you a lot, and they halfway are giving you what you want. And to go 3 years of 3 different quarterbacks, a bunch of different changes in your coaching staff, the recruiting world changing, playoffs getting included, new TV deal, new apparel deal. You got all these commercials and movie skits you doing, recruiting all the time to be top 5 these last couple years, not making too many crucial decisions that can turn the boat over, right? Because you're dealing with a transition of a coach that at the end of the day was the winningest coach. I mean, Coach Kelly got that. So how do you replace that? How do you replace that? So at the end of the day, it's all looking good.
This could end up, and I'm going to give you a piece of my fandom. I love Doug Collins. Doug Collins was the coach that took the Bulls from being absolutely one of the laughingstocks of the NBA to taking the Detroit Pistons to the brink of upset in the Eastern Conference Finals. And he did it rather quickly, and he did it with a very young Chicago Bulls team. But the caveat is he had that dude. You know what I mean? He had one of them ones. It wasn't like he just developed some guys that no one knew. He had this dude that's referred to as Black Jesus, approaching the peak of his powers. And so there was just something about him that you didn't find out until later that really held back the operation being able to accomplish its ultimate goal. Enter Phil Jackson, who, from an X's and O's standpoint, is not the best, but as a leader of men, a philosopher, and knowing just when to push the right buttons, he is exactly what was needed to get everyone on that team operating at optimal ability. You spoke about Brian Kelly. Brian Kelly, to me, is like the Doug Collins. He did everything to get Notre Dame football right there. National championship game against Alabama in year 3. Multiple college football playoff berths. But for some reason, when everything was on the line, the truth about the program from a depth and talent standpoint got exposed. His inability and his track record with the quarterbacks, what is going on? Talented guys, but what is going on with development? What is going on with these off the field issues and these academic issues? It was just always small things here and there that seemed to hold the program back. And then after he leaves, then you find out the character issues, some of the other things, similar to Doug Collins. Now you find out that it wasn't always sweet with him and Horace Grant. It wasn't always sweet with him and Michael Jordan. His answer to everything was, man, just give Michael Jordan the ball when things got tough. That was his answer to everything. Brian Kelly was very much the same way. Every time things got tough, well, you know, we have to shop down a different aisle. It's tough to win games here. You know the schedule. Well, it's always an excuse. Oh, just the same thing. And then here comes Phil Jackson. Different approach. All of a sudden, you see guys like Ed Neely, Bobby Hansen coming in a game 6, down 20, Portland Trailblazers in the NBA Finals on fire. Stacey King coming in. All of a sudden, all of these guys that didn't get opportunities are all of a sudden making an impact at important moments. This is Marcus Freeman. And this is what you're seeing. This is what you're seeing. Why does Marcus Freeman get this extension? Because I believe the people around the program see beyond the scoreboard. They see the integrity in the classroom. They see other things on campus that is a different feel with this head coach. People genuinely like this head coach. Check that box, because that's big. Might not be big at these big state schools, but that's huge at a small community like Notre Dame. That's huge. 30 wins first 3 years. Check the box. He holds that record. Check the box. Let's check another one. Recruiting. Elevated. The other guy, we come to find out, like when Doug Collins left, now we're finding out all this information. The dude didn't want to recruit. Seems to be having a similar issue down there where he said it was easier to recruit when he left. Doesn't matter where you go, you are who you are. Can't hide that. Can't hide that, man. Recruiting elevated. How can you see that? There's no big drop-offs. Do you remember all the times when a big injury would take place with Notre Dame in the previous regime? Drop-off. We don't have anybody. That's a huge loss. Now, next guy. Let's go. Stud. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going into this first playoff game without Kingston Vila-Muasa. And Notre Dame fans are like, man, I wish Kingston would play. I would love to see Kingston. Oh, but we're good. That wouldn't be the narrative. Can you imagine a Jalen Sneed not being able to play going into a big game? Oh, panic buttons. Red sirens going off everywhere. Timing. Let's talk timing. Could they have announced this immediately after the USC game? The Sunday they found out they were the 7th seed. Yes. Could they have waited until after they win against Indiana to announce it? Yes. But here's the key, Notre Dame fans. Let's be honest. The timing doesn't matter. Time doesn't matter. The only perfect time would have been 2 to 3 weeks after the season ends, whether it's a loss on Friday night, whether it's a loss in the next round of quarterfinals, or a loss in the semis, or after a championship run and they hoist the trophy. Hoisting the trophy for a national championship and announcing it the next week would have been the only perfect time. Anything that ends with a loss for Notre Dame and not being able to hoist the national championship and announcing this extension, what are we really talking about? There is no true perfect time to announce this extension. Heck, the rumors were bubbling the week leading up to NIU, and then they lose to NIU. So now, were the rumors the reason they lost to NIU? Come on, let's be real. There were rumors the week of NIU that the extension was coming. And then they go out and lose to NIU. So do we blame that loss on the rumblings about the extension? Was that bad timing for the rumors to happen? Come on, let's be honest. This is not gumbo we're making here. I don't care when you announce it. The task is still the same. And if they lose Friday, if they lose the next round, the loss is going to override the announcement of the extension. Why? Because we're Notre Dame fans. We don't like losing at all. This fan base does not like losing at all. And it is what it is. So I'm sure Notre Dame had a reason to break it. And the reason that they broke it, they could have broken this Saturday night. They could have broken this Saturday when college football news is big. Maybe they didn't break it Saturday as to not take attention away from Army Navy out of respect. You announce it Sunday night when the NFL is king going into the Sunday night football game, almost to kind of lessen it, to kind of, the impact is much less. Maybe that's what they were thinking. They didn't want the impact to override the game. So let's not mention it on a Saturday. Let's not mention it during the week. Let's go ahead and mention it on a Sunday night. News dump. No one's talking about college football. NFL is at the top of everybody's minds. Let's go ahead and drop this around 6 o'clock. People will talk about it, and then they'll go to the Sunday night football game. And that's exactly what happened. People talked about it. NFL took over, highlight shows, NFL is king. And now it's time to get ready for the game. So strategically, I get why they might have done it that way. But let's be honest. The announcement has no bearing on the outcome of this game. None. That's just a gumbo that some people might be trying to stir up and create. If they lose on Saturday night, it won't have anything to do with the contract. And if they lose on Saturday night and you have a problem with him getting an extension, then what are we really talking about? Because you have too much evidence that I just spoke about in the previous 5 to 7 minutes to show why he deserves the extension. And from a business side, as Malik talked about, you're getting in before the stock takes off. So now you end up paying less in the long run. And hopefully you work in. Look, Notre Dame's not dumb. Yes, if something happens in the state of Ohio at that school, they probably will come after Marcus Freeman. So you get that huge buyout in place. If you come get him, it's going to cost you. And it's going to cost you a lot. And if you're willing to pay that, we have this deterrent now in place. It's going to cost you to come get him. If you want him that bad, come get him. Because you have to pay him above what we're paying him, and you're going to have to pay us. So understanding the timing and landscape, I think ultimately Notre Dame did a good job. When they announced it, making the move, extending him, setting things up from a business standpoint, I think it was just the right thing to do. And other than hoisting a national championship trophy and announcing it the very next week, man, you could have done that. Lucky Lefty podcast. All right. That's the Freeman deal. Let's see here. Oh, there's something else I want to point out with Marcus Freeman, the analogy I used with Doug Collins and Phil Jackson. I do believe that ultimately, from a player relation standpoint, I do believe that plays a huge part. We're going to hear from Marcus Freeman because he was asked about this in his presser on yesterday. And I think Notre Dame is a very unique situation. It's a very unique situation because every other school in the playoff has had a young man into the portal. Notre Dame hasn't. And shout out to all of the mid-year guys. Jaden Mickey, I haven't heard an announcement about his decision yet. Shout out to Tyson Ford on committing to Cal, I believe it was. And I think it just speaks volumes, man. I think the profound respect, Riley Leonard spoke about this post-USC, the profound respect that the players have is in stark contrast to the previous coach. Now, people out there, you can call me a hater all you want to. You can say, why are we still talking about that dude? I'm not talking about that dude. I'm giving you a comparison of why Marcus Freeman is worth every penny of what he just got. We talked about the vibe around campus. We talk about the vibe with administration that's different. We talk about the vibe with former players that's totally different. Now let's talk about the vibe with the current players. A locker room that plays for the coach. And that's not going out winning together in spite of the head coach. It means something, especially when it comes to playoff football. That's a totally different well for young men to pull from. That's a totally different well for someone to pull from. That's why he's worth it. That's why he's worth it. And that's why I'm not caught up on the timing. And I'm not pushing back on anyone that thinks they could have waited. They probably could have. Heck, I think they could have made the announcement after the USC game. But there really is, in this situation, like I said, there is no perfect timing, man. Excuse me. There is no perfect timing. It's just not. It's just not. So we'll shoot for this, and I look for Notre Dame. I will say this. This goes a long way for me. You can talk about the bad losses with Marcus Freeman, and ladies and gents, there have been several. I don't even want to bring them back up. We're beyond that. Don't want to go there. Marcus Freeman. There was always an issue, especially against equal to better teams with the previous regime. And fans said this. This has been consistent with fans. Consistent. My guy's made it back to his destination.
Sheesh.
So there has been consistency with Notre Dame fans with the previous regime. I'm just giving you all the reasons. I'm going down a list of all the reasons why Marcus Freeman deserves every penny of what he got. And it has happened, because I'm not going to go out there and just be hyperbolic. It has happened. But it's been very rare that a Marcus Freeman team, and I'm not talking about against, you can open it up against less talented teams. Marcus Freeman teams, for the most part, are prepared. Now, we could talk about offensive struggles. We talked about that early on, right? Like, why is it Notre Dame? Because it was a continuation. Why is it Notre Dame can't score? We would laugh and joke, dude, don't turn the game on until the second quarter. Like, Notre Dame isn't scoring in the first quarter. Remember we would say that all last season? Or the first season?
All last season.
All the first season with Marcus Freeman? Like, dude, that's just turn the game on the second quarter. That has changed. Now, like, yo, you better be there at the kickoff. You better be there at the kickoff. Because something might happen. Special teams, offense, defense, something might happen. Notre Dame is putting points on the board. And I think for the most part, Marcus Freeman has done a much better job of having his team ready to go. I can't really speak to a lot of instances where they came out flat. And when they did come out flat, they lost. They came out flat against Marshall. They lost. They came out flat against Northern Illinois. They lost. Like, when they come out flat, it hasn't turned out good. And they changed that narrative. That's another reason. Like, it has been proven. Like, yo, he knows how to get his team ready. Which goes to the word he says all the time, execution. So now it is really about execution. Because the talent and the depth is there. The team is ready for the big games. Now it's about executing. Going out and getting it done.
Yeah, and that's something that Marcus Freeman has always told us was the game plan. And I think he's recruited to guys that can't execute. And his biggest quality is that infectious personality that people seem to love so much, and give him the credit of why he's the reason. I mean, we've heard countless testimonials from other coaches, recruits, even recruit parents, administrators, that they come to Notre Dame for Marcus Freeman. It's a huge difference than the response of why people came to Notre Dame before Marcus Freeman. Before Marcus Freeman, people had thousands of different reasons. Oh, my grandpa went here. Oh, I loved it since I was a kid. Oh, I've always wanted to be here because of Brady Quinn. Oh, generations of families. Now, when you talk to a lot of recruits, especially ones that are very talented, 5-star quality, the ones that we've always wanted to attain, their biggest attraction in Notre Dame starts with Marcus Freeman. That's what Notre Dame is paying for. Notre Dame is paying for that extra brand face somebody that can be the face of the program. Now, I would like us to put a player as the face of the program, something we haven't done or have a hard time trying to do. But for Marcus Freeman to be the face of the program and be that initial light for a lot of top recruits to be like, I like Notre Dame because of Marcus Freeman. That's what Notre Dame paying the extension for. Because when you put that, you mix it with the fact that he's winning 10 games in the season, that's something that Notre Dame can say, we can repeat, rinse, repeat, rinse. And that's something that Marcus Freeman has developed that quality of being a program builder. And it imparts to what Brian Kelly has done over the years of giving a foundation, even though it had its things that needed to be smoothed out. He still left somewhat of a great foundation for Marcus Freeman to take from and to build off of. So as much as Marcus Freeman has done to continue the success of the program, it's not like he was from chicken scratch. It's not like he had empty cupboards. It's not like he was Lincoln Riley where he took half of the staff at Oklahoma and brought it all to USC and cleared out the decks. It's not like a Kalen DeBoer where you're going from one side of the country where nobody's really paying that much attention to the epicenter where everybody's paying attention to, coming off of the greatest coach, arguably, of all college football time. It's not like you had to do that. Marcus Freeman came in a very favorable position for the right kind of coach. And Marcus Freeman happened to be the right kind of coach, came at the right time, and you're seeing why that marries up and the success of the program thrives with that extra boost from people buying into Marcus Freeman. That's what the money is paid for. Yeah, because success can be up and down depending on who you asking, but to have consistency and a program that can stand out, Marcus Freeman has done that in the recruits too. He's changed the recruiting surface of Notre Dame to where now you almost have to be just exemplary in the classroom like the regular students on the football field. In the classroom, you got to have a 4.5 valedictorian, summa cum laude, done 1 million volunteer hours, every AP class, every head of chess club, every science fair winner, whatever. Spelling bee champion. Now for Notre Dame football, you got to play punter, quarterback, running back, linebacker, tight end. You got to do some water boy. You done got to, be in the community. I mean, the standards of being recruited in Notre Dame are even higher. Marcus Freeman did that, but what was the result? Now you're getting 1A, 1B players. Now you're getting next man in on the depth chart instead of just the mentality. Where you lose a Boubacar Traore and a Jordan Patello 2 games, 3 games in the season, and you look at your roster and be like, they may not be them, but they're almost just as impactful. They're getting better. So when you have a culture like that, it's a luxury to say, oh, we got a transfer quarterback. That's the missing piece. That's the luxury. That's the luxury. Oh, we just missing one guy. That's a luxury. Missing one guy is a luxury. Well, we need a kicker, but we got that solved too. we got that solved too. Oh my goodness! But this is setting up what I believe is what Dabo had set up after Taj Boyd. He had a very nice team that was on the cusp before a generational quarterback started rolling in. And that's all it was. Auburn was solid. I mean, Clemson was solid those years with Taj Boyd. They was coming up. They had DeAndre Hopkins, and they was winning 9 games in a year, and the buzz was there. They just was – everybody knew they were just missing a piece. And next thing you know, what happens? They done blessed them with a Deshaun Watson. And then blessed them with a Trevor Lawrence. They go on an 8-year run. So Marcus Freeman, in my opinion, has set the program up for a franchise quarterback to step in. It's just a matter of time. He understands that year 3 he can't exist and can't have a legacy or a true coaching staple in the game without a foundational quarterback out of the program. He said, I can't live off of transfers. That's like trying to live off protein shakes and you trying to get big in the gym. You got to eat some meals. You got to go in there and meal prep. Cut the chicken with the green peppers up. Make the pasta. Get the containers and the Tupperwares for your meal prep days. You can't just hit a good workout, then get a quick protein shake. That's not going to get it done. You can survive. Okay, it sounds good. You can make it work, but you need that meal. Marcus Freeman needs to get that grandma recipe. He's like, man, I've been killing it with the TikTok recipe. I did the stuffed chicken with the oven roasted bacon on top, but I need that recipe where I got to eye it.
Shout out to Cooking with Kaya.
I need that recipe where I got to eye it like grandma says. How much salt? I just do a pinch, baby. That's what Marcus Freeman need. He need that time that was installed into these quarterbacks and go through that Notre Dame process. These made-in-China action figures you getting from overseas and out of all these other places, make something in-house. Because that's what people will remember Marcus Freeman for. Right now, we remember you for being a halfway actor. Will Smith stunt double. The next Jerry Maguire. We didn't see the acting chops. When you think of Tony Rice, you think of Lou Holtz. Think of Brian Kelly, you think Tommy Reese, Deshaun Kaiser. What do you think of Marcus Freeman? Oh, everybody loves him. He builds a good program. But where the quarterback at? Charlie Weiss, Brady Quinn, Jimmy Clausen. Come on. When Marcus Freeman gets that, I mean, now we off and running. That's what Ryan Day is failing at. Ryan Day's failing at putting a premier guy at the quarterback position. You just think you can buy a roster. That's one thing. But you need to put a premier guy at that position, and Will Howard is not it. That's the difference between programs. Marcus Freeman's finding one, looking for one, searching for one, begging for one. Ryan Day is discarding them. Putting the lesser of the two. So I do agree that Marcus Freeman has built the program well enough to show the world, okay, I can do this on a high elite level at a traditional program. Because where else can Marcus Freeman go outside of Notre Dame? And Notre Dame knows that. Notre Dame's like, let's go ahead and pay you what you want. Because if you were to step away, where you going to go? Tulsa? Who you go, West Virginia? Don't chase the money, baby, because it's all here. It's all here. What? Marcus Freeman can only go to Texas, Ohio State, Alabama, Michigan, maybe. Other than that, where is Marcus Freeman going to go where he's like, oh, I hit you with the Kelly excuse. Oh, this is a better opportunity. No. Because if he wins a championship there, now you only go to Alabama, Texas, Ohio State.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a wrap now. That's definitely what the contract says. Like
that's why they like, let's go ahead and ante up. But now the expectation is what? Marcus Freeman has to be able to be consistent as a playoff coach. That's the new standard. Can you be a playoff coach? Brian Kelly figured out the formula to cheat the system. I can get 10 wins a season, be just underwhelming enough, but just overwhelming enough where you can't let me go. Because I'm going to just say, well, you're going to get 10 wins and a playoff chance, baby. Now Notre Dame is wising up. They say, you know what? with this new format, we need to see a playoff coach, a resume. Yeah, you win in the regular season, you good. But in the playoffs, you see, and Marcus Freeman's smart. He's like, let me stay in the place of the resources to build the resume up to where you get a Nick Saban resume now. It's like, oh, I'll go anywhere. Oh, but Nick Saban did Alabama, so I was, right? So I do think that this is the cusp of a dynasty, depending on how we get through these first playoffs. Because it all goes to hogwash if we get X'd out in the first 2 games, in my opinion. First 2, hogwash. What was the season for? What was the season for? You go get a transfer quarterback, do what we already knew we could do? Because that's what my 2 cents would be in on it, because I've been saying this since the beginning of the season. We was a 2-win playoff team no matter if we had the quarterback or not. Having the quarterback didn't make us undefeated, in my opinion. So this is where it's earned. And I think having a game where you go home game, which is good, and then Georgia potentially the next game, right? That's the next game. Of course it's the next game. Of course they set up like that. They couldn't give us no, So I do think that passing that.
It's only right, though. It's only right.
It's only right. I know they want to do it to us like that.
Like the dude you don't like talking about. Hey, go through Arrowhead. You want to prove something? Go through Arrowhead. That's what you gonna have to do.
Don't wait on somebody else to beat him.
Right. Go ahead and walk through Arrowhead. And for those who, he did it before, and then he did it before, but guess what? The other dude got the ball back.
The other dude got the ball back.
That's what happens. That's what happens when you play against the best. Lucky Lefty podcast. So, Marcus Freeman. And stick around, because there's been a lot of buzz about recruiting. I saw people in the chat talking about this, about recruiting and transfer portal. And Notre Dame, the rumors. Are they going to the portal for a quarterback? I'm going to tell you why I've changed my tune. And I wouldn't be mad if they did go to the portal for a quarterback. I don't want them to go to the portal for a quarterback, but I wouldn't be mad if they did. And I'll tell you why coming up in just a little bit. But let's hear from Marcus Freeman. He met with the media yesterday, and this is how he opened, preparing and talking about the game and his opponent, the Indiana Hoosiers.
All right, happy Sunday. Good to see you guys. We just had a quick team meeting, and as I told the team, and today officially starts game week. As we look at everything, today's a Monday for us in terms of our preparation. And, really the past 2 weeks leading up till now, preparation's been really good. You had some guys that have been able to recover, but also you've been able to do your physical and tactical preparations after we found out who our opponent was last week. So really pleased with the preparation over the last week. And then, obviously now we start moving forward with game week. We have to make some adjustments into our normal game week schedule to accommodate finals. So we'll practice in the morning, starting Monday. We'll practice in the morning through Wednesday, and then Thursday will be a normal Thursday because our guys will take finals in the afternoon. So a couple injury updates. Howard Cross will be available. Devin Ford available. Jeremiah Love available. Bodie Cahoon will still be out. KK Smith will still be out, and Kingston will still be out. And so just moving along to Indiana, obviously it's a 11-1 football team, very talented, but you can tell they're coached well. They play, as I often say, with the clarity that you look for when you watch film, right? It's a team that plays fast, a team that understands what they're doing, why they're doing it, how they're doing it. And so you can tell they understand what's expected of them. They make quick and fast decisions. A very disruptive, chaotic defense that is, I think, number one in the country at stopping the run. And so we understand it'll be a great challenge for us, and we got to have a great week of prep as we get ready for Friday night.
Go ahead, Left.
Yeah, what I really like is his demeanor's changed over time. He sounds a lot more confident. He's at the podium. He's got this something's on the horizon type of attitude, which I really like. And he's not too high or too low. You know, I don't for this to be the first time ever. He's approaching it the right way from his demeanor, and I think that this is going to give him a nice challenge. I think in the back of his mind, he's like, okay, I feel confident we can get through this game. All things included. Good first matchup. We're healthy. We're rolling into things. We've gotten better each week. I like the first game. I do. I think he should be scouting for the quarterfinals anyway. And if I'm in Marcus Freeman's mind, I'm scouting the next game too. I ain't gonna lie. Because remember, Georgia's coming off a 2-week rest period. That's a lot. He already said the dogs need some rest. That's 2 weeks. That's double bye week.
Mm-hmm.
That's a different game changer. We'll see how that works.
Georgia, with that backup quarterback, might need that extra time to shift gears because they are like Seabiscuit. You know the movie Seabiscuit? They trained him one way, and then when he went up against the big house in that one-on-one matchup, they're like, yo, we got to retrain him because he has to break first. If we let this big monster get out in the open, ain't no way we catch him. And so Georgia's probably going through that. Like all season, they've been training to be led by Carson Beck. And heck, they did it at the snap or, the snap of a finger, halftime. Hey, Gunnar Stockton, this is how we're going to play in the second half. They were able to pull it off. I think Notre Dame is a much more physical team than Texas, in my opinion. Overall, I think the mentality for Notre Dame is much more physical, offensively and defensively, than Texas per se. So
yeah, I think Texas.
I don't think they'll be able to dictate to Notre Dame from a physicality standpoint.
That Georgia game showed us that Texas really wasn't.
No,
I just can't get that game out of them. You know, some games just don't forget. Yeah. You just don't forget that Texas one. The way
you got pushed around not once but twice.
Yeah, twice.
Not once but twice. You got pushed around by Georgia, a Georgia team that is not your typical Georgia team.
And there's no killers. There's no killers at quarterback or at Texas. I don't think Arch is a killer. Quinn Ewers isn't necessarily a killer. He's a good quarterback.
Yeah.
But there's no quarterback where you're worried about getting the ball last. Yeah. Definitely not worried about Will Howard getting the ball last. You probably want him to get the ball last just to make the game over a lot faster. So I can't think of too many quarterbacks in this playoff system. We haven't seen Riley have to get the ball last, but I'm worried about it going to the wire. We got a guy like C.J. Stroud. You're like, he's going to take you to the wire regardless of how you play. Take you to the wire. Jameis Winston, take you to the wire. Deshaun Watson, take you to the wire, right? So there's no quarterbacks like that in this playoff system. So it's truly going to be team efforts that I think is going to get it done.
So talking about Georgia being off, Notre Dame hasn't played football and will not have played football for 20 days as they get ready for kickoff on Friday night. Marcus Freeman was asked about that. And for him, we're going to do what we've been doing.
I've been preaching the same messages that everybody knows it's a big game, but the approach to the game can't change. What we've been doing in terms of our preparation mentally and physically has given this program a chance to succeed. Now, all season long, we've talked about elevating, right? Continuously finding ways to get better in terms of how we prepare. And that's no different as you prepare for this one, is that we have to find ways to enhance the way we prepare and continue to elevate as a team with that same approach that we've had, and we'll get to Friday when it gets here.
It's a big game. It's a different kind of game, but the fact that you've been in win or else mode basically since September 7th, how can that work to this program's advantage?
Yeah, it's something I've been preaching to the guys, and something that I reiterated this last week was that we've been in playoff situational games since week 3. And we understand that. And every game that we play in is a version of a playoff game in our minds. And so continue to understand that don't have any added pressure for this one that you haven't had the previous 10, right? And so our guys understand that. That's going to be the message that I continue to reiterate, and let's just focus on the way we're preparing more than anything.
I don't think Marcus Freeman's really worried about this game, to be honest. I think at the end of the day, it would be different for us not playing for 20 days and then playing a team that's more physical than us. I just don't think Indiana has enough guys to prove that, they're just more physical because they played the last. Like, we could go 300 days without playing, and they still won't out-physical us as a team. They may have guys that are some players, but they're not a more physical football team than us in general. So I don't think that's going to weigh in. I think if anything, IU's probably more worried about being out physical considering the weather conditions and the obvious of us going to run the football regardless. Can they take on 4 healthy running backs? I mean, can we talk? And I'm saying the 4th being Riley. That's not even the 4th guy in the running back room. But can they take on 4 healthy guys with our offensive line, with the little nuances that we can add just to be game breakers like a Chris Mitchell and a Bo Collins? Can they handle all of that with our tight ends included? That's the question IU has to ask themselves. But for us, I don't think the outside the game factors of taking days off or, the moment or the playoff situation will impact us like it does, like I said, for IU team. Remember, this is the best team IU's ever had. Ever had. They're not used to success, let alone elimination games like this, let alone moments or even to think that none of these guys has played past the regular season. None of these guys have played after the break of their school. Nobody on the roster has played in a late bowl game that mattered. All their bowl games are right after the season at 12 o'clock. They probably fly home and watch all the big boys play. This is the first time that anybody on that team has played when it mattered. So they're dealing with so many more factors than what we're dealing with. There's a reason why we're releasing episodes when we're releasing episodes. I feel like if we were playing a tougher team, we might have to schedule those episodes at a different time.
No, I told you it was a great grade. Look, I disagree because I thought weekly episodic approach would be better for Here Come the Irish. But as soon as they laid out what they were doing, I said they know they're going to the playoffs. They believe wholeheartedly they're going to the playoffs, and they want to drop episodes 3 and 4 right after the end of the regular season and then take advantage of the attention during the playoff run. I was like, yo, they definitely believe with this schedule, they're going to the playoffs.
Yeah, and that's why this season has been built off of what are we going to do when it matters? Can we change? Does winning a championship in the first year speak to us changing the perspective of Notre Dame as a program? Because would you consider us, even though Marcus Freeman has these big game winning records, do you think we're a big winning game team? I don't think so yet. I don't think we won a big game under Marcus Freeman. I mean, truthfully, yeah, statistically, analytically, record book wise, cool. But just eye test, like, do you feel like he has a marquee win? No. Because first of all, through the last 10 years, there's only been 2 or 3 really marquee teams. Like, for instance, Thomas Hammock beating Notre Dame, that's a marquee win. He'll be remembered for that for the rest of his life. Seriously. He will be remembered for the rest of his NIU days. I mean, he's good. What win does Marcus Freeman have? Now, the wins he would have to have at Notre Dame are championships, obviously, number 1 teams he's beat. But what team has Marcus Freeman gone against where you're like, man, At least he's done that. There's none. And that's more of a not giving credit to those other teams. I'm not giving no credit to no first year of the program Mike Elko team at Texas A&M. I'm not giving them that. We're supposed to win that game. I would have gave him the Ryan Day at home, top 5 team, Ohio State, your former, all of that. I would have. That's a program change. Or a Clemson game, right? Hell, Brian Kelly only has a couple memorable all-time great games. And he's been there for 10 years. So I do think that these playoff games, i.e. Georgia the week after this one, because I don't think his IU one is like your compensation, you feel good that you had a good season and you end the playoff run win. It's your warm-up. Okay, you have passed, go, you can collect $200. Okay, here we go. This is where you put your money where your mouth is. This is where the extension comes in. This is the feel-good game. By no metric should IU be close to us in this game. This is a tune-up for the game that we will be remembered for this season, and that's Georgia. That's it. And I said it before the beginning of the season. We are a 2-playoff team right now. It'll take the team to prove anything otherwise. That Georgia game, they gave it to us. We knew they was going to give us some BS. They gave it to us. We got to go do it. But winning that changes the program's perspective in my mind. Because this ain't beating Georgia and then playing next week like nothing happened. This is for the marbles. This ain't like the Alabama win in the regular season where everybody they go their different way. No, this is for this is where Kirby got his name for when it counts.
Yeah.
So this is bigger than the Georgia game we lost at Georgia because we still had games after that. This is for when it counts. So that's why I don't want it to be something Marcus Freeman gets down to the wire.
Yeah. In chat, you guys, man, it's on fire today. Love the conversation. I will point this out. Notre Dame is no different than any other program. Notre Dame is already, that's why you hire analysts. That's why you build a staff. That's why Nick Saban had over 80 people in the football program. All types of coaches, analysts. Why? Because you just don't spend time preparing for the upcoming opponent. Marcus Freeman in fall camp started preparing for Navy in fall camp. He didn't wait till the week of the game. While they were preparing for Texas A&M, he took time to prepare for Navy. And they took time during the bye week to prepare for Army, even though they had a game before Army. So yes, the analysts and the rest of the staff have done their homework on Indiana already because they probably had started it before the USC game. They knew the opponents they probably had slotted to face. These are the teams we're probably going to face if we're going to be a 6 or 7 seed. Start looking at those teams. Yeah. That's what a good program does. So yes, Georgia's already being scouted by Notre Dame. And that doesn't take away from the preparation of Indiana.
That doesn't take away from the prep.
No, that's what you're an analyst for. That's why we hired you.
We're just not silly, you know what I'm saying?
That's not silly. That gives you
this whole one game at a time absolutely is
that allows you to hit the ground running. Once you defeat Indiana, now you can hit the ground running Sunday as a staff.
Because all you do is Friday night information. That's all you do.
Celebrate Friday night. You come in Saturday, y'all rolling. Why? Because the analysts have all the information laid out on the table for you.
You ready to go?
Now you're ready to go. You don't have to come in and start. Now we got to start from scratch watching film. That's not how it works.
And what convinces people that IU is going to play good? That's what I mean. Like, we can be realistic.
Look, no, I expect the best. I expect them to give their best.
We expect them to give their best. But what?
Not about to lie
down. I'm not saying they're going to not.
No, this is going to be a Beanie Siegel. This is a Beanie Siegel state property game. Lay down or get locked.
They do not have enough talent to just withstand.
That has nothing to do with effort, Left. Talent has nothing to
It
do with
does
playing hard.
because
No, it does not.
okay,
I watch games all the time with less talented teams.
Okay,
playing
does
their
it
butts off.
matter
That
in the
has nothing to do-
NBA?
What are we talking about?
Talent.
Does talent matters in every sport? What are we talking
Talent
about?
being the defining factor in games like this one.
Talent has nothing to do with effort, bro. You could be least talented and give the greatest
As hard
amount
as
of effort.
IU tries, do you think with us also trying that they have anything that they can do against us?
So do you think that was the greatest effort Northern Illinois gave all year?
Yes.
Okay, then. Thank you for proving my point.
But we weren't playing. We weren't even on the field. I don't even think we came out the tunnel.
That was the worst effort that Notre Dame gave all year.
So that's what I'm saying. We're not gonna, but we're also gonna come out with effort. We're not gonna come out there with no effort. So it's effort versus their effort. They have no chance.
That's why I said if Notre Dame plays a B to B plus game, they will win.
Yeah, that's what. So I'm like, yes. So this is not a. That's what I'm saying. I don't know why people think IU is coming with. IU is not scoring 40 plus points.
Come on, no, who said that?
But that's what it's going to take. IU's not scoring 30 plus. IU's not scoring 35 plus. IU's not scoring 28 plus. So I don't know where they're going to. I don't know. I think that
people can give. IU deserves their flowers, but what Kurt Cinetti deserves his flowers
it's
for
beautiful.
what he's done.
It's a great movie.
Great season. And it's fine to say good team, but now as we look at this matchup, we don't see many areas where you can dictate the terms of the matchup.
Like Army. Army had a great season. Come on, guys. 9-0, ranked. And then they ran into a team that they've never seen before. Like, this is what makes nationally recruited teams better than regionally recruited teams. A regionally recruited team can be the biggest team in the region. Then you play a nationally recruited team and you're like, okay, I see the difference. IU's team is probably not based too much outside of IU. They got some guys trickled in here and there, but generally, that's just not enough. This is not Hoosier basketball. So I do think that they'll give us a good effort, but they don't have enough firepower. And that's why I think the difference is. Notre Dame can go a whole game and give you something new and keep hitting you with different guys and hit you with different waves and can adjust and got depth and talent. Anybody can pop. How many games we wait on somebody to pop? It'd be Jadarian Price one game, Jeremiah Love one game, Riley pop, Chris Mitchell pop, Jordan Gray. It's like you can just name them. IU's relying on a couple guys. So, I think we're built differently than an Ohio State team that is more dependent on Will Howard throwing the football to win than we are dependent on Riley to throw to win. So even if it gets tight, I think we wouldn't put Riley in a position where he's got to go down and single-handedly win the game. That's what Ohio State is positioned to do because they have all these great receivers. If the run game gets turned off, Will's not the greatest threat either, right? Running the football like a Riley is. So, you got to be a dude. I think most quarterbacks in this playoffs have to be dudes.
It's funny because I'm interested in how people feel about this. And the chat just inspired this. Shout out to our guy, Jason Smith, who's Ryan Loftus, I'm sorry. He said, he just, pointed out the Northern Illinois laws, and he just doesn't want to take teams for granted, which is funny because I think Marcus Freeman several times in pregame speeches has said, "You're the better team." Is he taking that team for granted as his team takes the field? Do you guys feel like he's taking that team for granted when he tells his team before they take the field that they're the better team, they're the more physical team? He said that before they took the field against Army. Yeah, I mean, I think there's something built into a fan when they experience something that, it just like, you're being cautious, right? Cautiously optimistic. And I get it. But for the football team, they know Notre Dame players, they know their roster is better. They know that. If they don't prepare right, then they're taking the team for granted. But for them to know that they're the better team, for Marcus Freeman and his staff to know we're the better team. We're the better football team. They're not taking Indiana for granted. Their preparation will dictate whether or not they take Indiana for granted. Preparation. And
Alabama.
That's what you heard. Let me finish this, Lev, and I'm going to let you roll. That's what you heard coming out of the NIU loss, right? Our preparation wasn't good. Our preparation hasn't been good. And that is taking a team for granted. And preparation really is not about the opponent. Nick Saban would say that all the time. Doesn't care who we playing. This is the standard for our preparation. And if we prepare, of course we're the better team. That's who we are. That's another reason why Notre Dame needs to pay and has paid Marcus Freeman and why he deserves every penny. Because he's brought this program to the point where they believe when we walk on the field, we're the better team.
Yes.
We're the better team.
And that's exactly what Nick Saban, for all them years, everybody was, the big bad Bama. Bama didn't go in the game. What was it? Some crazy stat? Like Nick Saban has never been the underdog in a game until like Georgia. That was 9 years of never being an underdog. He understands. And he got his team to understand. It's like when we're practicing to play to a standard. We don't care who's on the schedule. And the results showed they won most of the games because they stayed at a high level. Not, we got number 3 Florida this week. We got to play better, practice harder. No, they practice hard every week. That's what made them hard to beat.
So Marcus Freeman left. Then he went, I want you to hear this clip. Because he talked about Notre Dame being the only team in the portal or only team in the playoffs that has not had a player jump in the portal. This is what he had to say, Left.
I can't speak for everybody. I think every individual in our program makes their own decisions. I think they understand how valuable, every person in our program understands how valuable they are to us being in this position that we're in. And we need them. We need every single person in our program to reach the goals that we have. And so I think when you feel like you have value and you're a part of what we're accomplishing, you want to continue to stay with this team and see it through. And I hope that's a reflection of it. But again, everybody will have their own answer.
You've mentioned in the past that like how Howard Cross and Riley Mills are the keys to everything you do up front defensively. Like, how important is it to not only get Howard back, but also get these 2 weeks off for him to heal up that ankle?
Yeah, obviously high ankle sprains take time, and we knew that. But Howard Cross is an excellent football player, and when you don't have him, he's missed. We've had guys step up and do an unbelievable job. Donnie Heinrich has played really well, and Gabe Rubio and some of those guys. But we also know the type of football player Howard Cross is, and to have him back is going to be huge for our defense.
think Howard Cross. Look, another reason why Marcus Freeman deserves to get paid. A player like Howard Cross would not have sat out the amount of games. There would have been a great need for him to play hurt because of the drop-off and lack of depth.
Yeah, absolutely.
Under Marcus Freeman, no. Get healthy. We'll see you in the playoffs.
You can do that when you have the depth. You can do that when you recruited the players. And I think Marcus Freeman's belief in his own players is he's got the confidence to let the little fish swim in the big ocean.
Yeah.
Leave the nets. Because if I recruited you here, you can play here. That comes from good evaluation. That comes from great film study. That comes from knowing what fits in your program. And then you're recruiting on a genuine level. That just shows you're genuinely recruiting. You're not recruiting guys so they don't go other places. You're not recruiting guys because they're the number one whatever. You're recruiting guys that fit in the program. An example of that is the kid from Wyoming. Kid from Wyoming got a pick six. Things that happen on Notre Dame's team, you don't see in the country. You don't see no kid from Wyoming or Connecticut get a pick six from Georgia as safety. You don't. But it's because Marcus Freeman does a great job with fit. He puts guys in the position that he knows that they can do. And I mean, even with Christian Gray struggling against USC, I didn't feel like, oh my God, we need Ben Morrison. I'm like, Christian Gray got it. He just hasn't been tested. That's just an example of the fear I have for our team in general. We haven't been pushed to the edge, and I wouldn't even consider that push to the edge.
Whoa. Charles Jagasaw is practicing, bro. There's video out. Charles Jagasaw is full go in practice.
That's great to hear.
Yo, that's fantastic. Wait a minute. Let me talk my talk. Let me go ahead and take a detour right quick. Ladies and gents, let me tell you something, boy. If this offensive line elevates his play going into these playoffs, watch out. Watch out. Watch out. Watch out. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. Even if he's a backup, even if he's just getting a series here or there. What? All right, man, let me get back. Lucky Lefty podcast. Let's finish up with Marcus Freeman left because I got some stuff to say about this quarterback portal rumor stuff and some other things. That's great news just for next season left.
Yeah, when you can just throw guys at you.
If he's practicing right now, that's great news going into next season. Fantastic.
100% by any
man, by spring, he's ready to go. He's working out in the off season. He's ready. Man, yo, love hearing that. Love it. Absolutely love it. Let's get to this last clip. Focus left. Marcus Freeman. Extremely focused. And I expect the team to be focused going into Friday night.
I mean, I would be lying if I say I don't think about, that loss or being upset. Fear is a motivator. It is what it is. A lot of people are motivated by fear or greed. And there's times that I have to remind myself what's the result of not preparing the right way. But sometimes it takes the performance that we had versus NIU to go back and say, okay, hold on. What lessons do we have to learn? You can't, if you knew exactly what it took, the perfect formula, you would correct it right when it's not right. But sometimes it takes going back and saying, okay, where didn't we prepare the right way? And that's after a win too. There's situations that happen in a win that you got to go back and say, okay, we didn't perform the way we needed to in this situation. Third down offense, third down defense, first down offense, whatever the situation may be, special teams. Hold on, is our preparation, is this something that's showing up in practice? If it's not, okay, was this a schematic thing that we weren't ready for? And I think that's the mindset I have. I still believe in preparation. I choose to believe that is the number one indicator that gives your program a chance to have success on Saturday. And I won't stray from that. And that's what we're going to focus on right now as we prepare for this upcoming game.
Let's coach speak, but hey, for everyone that's, no, he's not giving you any inkling that Notre Dame is taking IU lightly. So you should feel better. You should feel better. And when I said that, I saw the video. I'm just happy that he's back practicing. There was a question. That was a question whether or not he would be ready for off-season workouts heading into the spring.
Yeah, just the fact that he's going to be 100 by the end of the spring is going to be good.
The fact he's practicing full go, full practice. That's huge. Nobody's saying he needs to start over Anthony Knapp. Like, relax. I'm just somebody happy that the young man is back practicing. That's all I'm saying. Nobody is saying, hey, put him in, start him. Nobody's saying that. He's practicing, which means come springtime, he's going to be ready to go. And this is not hard. Like, this is why I say Marcus Freeman. Another reason why Marcus Freeman deserves the money. Who cares who plays left tackle? Both of them are going to start next year. Who cares? They're probably two of your best 5 offensive linemen. So they'll be starting next year. I don't care where they start. Guard, tackle, who cares? I expect Knapp and Jagasaw to both be part of the starting 5 on the O-line. Who cares? He's not about to start in his first game at left tackle. Staff is not about to do that. I'm just extremely happy that the young man is back and he's healthy and you got dudes in the offensive line. That's it. Who cares? Anthony Knapp isn't going anywhere. I'm happy. But guess what? Charles Jagasaw was here first, and he's not going anywhere. So let's get it.
I'm happy. Yeah.
Heck yeah, I'm happy. Heck yeah, I'm happy. That man.
But the fact that kids aren't leaving just showing that this is a good program to be a part of, and that if you do your time, you'll get your just dues. And most players feel like they're developing. You're not going to leave a place when you feel like you're getting better, regardless of playing right now or not. You feel development. You like the relationships you're at. And damn, you kind of feel bad leaving. I'm leaving my guys that I came in with. It's just a different feeling. Like, and I can say that because I went to 2 different programs. Yeah. So at Notre Dame, you're like, we all win. If we all do our job, we play together. You leave, it's like, we're not asking you to leave, we're not telling you to leave, but then that's messed up that you're leaving. It's like, then you're going to leave out on this, you know what I mean? Florida was like, man, this is the place where you can go get right, but you on your own. Yeah. So I get why people don't want to leave Notre Dame once they get there. And it's not a surprise. I think guys that leave have very special cases, like a Jaden Mickey, where you're truly like
Tyson Ford.
It's like it's not like you were in a Don Schuler. Take a year, learn, walk right into it. Tyson Ford had to take 2 years, got a little bit of time, didn't go as great. It just was a natural thing. Prince Colley, take a little time, got in here and there, didn't work out great. Jaden Mickey got in early, got hurt, didn't really work out. Okay, I'm ready for the count. But it's not guys that are like on the fringe. No guys on the fringe are leaving. Yeah. Which I think is a great way Marcus Freeman's handled it.
Lucky Lefty Podcast. Subscribe, YouTube, hit the thumbs up. Lucky Lefty Network on YouTube, TikTok, Twitter, X, Instagram at Lucky Lefty Pod, patreon.com/Lucky Lefty Network, Lucky Legends Podcast, Players Only, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, CFB Nation, Home of the Misguided Passion. You already know we spin it different. So the team captains met with the media yesterday, and Riley Mills we're going to focus on the Rileys today. Riley Mills. This is what he had to say about the upcoming game.
I think they're a good team. They're a really solid team, and you can see the things they've had success on against other teams in the Big Ten. And they have a really good outfit, really good running back. So it's gonna be a great challenge for us. I'm excited to get after them.
They have a veteran offensive line, much like you have a veteran defensive line. What kinds of things are you seeing from them in terms of their ability to fire off the ball and get their running game going?
Yeah, when you watch their film, I think you see they do a really good job of communicating. They've got some good guys in the O-line that are experienced, have been there for a while, and kind of know the deal. So you can see how for teams that are less experienced, they get gashed, and that's how they would get a bunch of a lot of chunk plays and big yards. So for us, it's about playing square and strong and doing our job to the best of our ability.
I think when you watch Indiana, I'll just speak to their run game, because they ran the ball early on against Ohio State from a yards per carry average at a pretty good clip. But they're not going to, they are very much, their run game really flows off their passing game and their formations. It's not because, as someone in the media mentioned, they have a veteran offensive line. Yeah, but they don't have this veteran offensive line that's just about to physically push you around. Yeah, they played a lot of games, so they don't make a lot of mistakes, but they can't physically impose their will. So their run game is a result of their formations, Kurt Cinetti's offense, the passing game, the perimeter guys that love to catch the 50-50 balls, the back shoulder throws, and stretch the field. This is not Notre Dame lining up. They're going to run the ball, and they still, like Texas A&M was bringing safeties all game long, and Notre Dame still ran the ball down their throat when it mattered.
Raven speaking, how can I help you?
Can Indiana run the ball when they need to, when it matters? Can they do certain things when Al Golden is taking away what they want to do? Can they play left-handed? We'll see. We'll see. It's going to be interesting.
I think that Notre Dame's kryptonite would be just a superb quarterback. I think that puts more stress on us with a little bit of a run game, because then you're talking about scoring points. And I don't think this kid is better than Tyler. What was it? Sauer from Louisville?
You mean Slope?
Slope. Yeah, I don't think he's better than.
I mean, Shuck. Why did I say Slope? Shuck.
I don't think he's better than Shuck. So
they definitely don't have the receivers that Louisville had.
Right. So I just think this is just a bigger matchup issue for them than it is us. And so then it just becomes, all things included, can they continue to convert? I just don't think they have enough offense to keep up all game.
When have you heard that about a Notre Dame team going to a playoff game, that the opponent doesn't have enough offense to keep up? That's crazy. That's crazy. I'm not mad at it, but it's crazy. Let's go to the offensive side of the ball with the other Riley Leonard, Notre Dame's MVP. He talked about, it's a big game. It's definitely the biggest game of my career. Oh, you caught on, Riley, huh? I thought you had big games coming in Notre Dame. No, he finally realizes the magnitude of what Notre Dame represents and what this game represents.
For the biggest game of my career, had a lot of time to prepare for this, but it's really a cool experience, and I'm trying not to take it for granted. To make it to where we are now is kind of why I came to Notre Dame. Came here to compete, to make the college football playoff and compete for a national championship, so we're one step closer.
What's been the experience you talk about? I know it hasn't been a lot of time, the game hasn't come yet, but what have you faced throughout this experience so far?
Yeah, not much. I mean, the hardest thing throughout this whole process has been probably finals here at Notre Dame, because that's no joke. So it's just like any other, a couple bye weeks for us. We've handled it the same way. Pride's been the same way. The recipe for success, it's worked. So why change it? So yeah, I haven't experienced too much other than having to get through these finals, I guess.
to get the game. They got Riley's like, yeah, finals. And he's coming from Duke, left. Not like he's coming from like.
No, this shit, no, it's because it's like, man, y'all don't care that we have other things going on. You know, it just it just makes it feel like, yeah, these teachers do not care that you. They make you earn it. Let's feel like they make you earn it. So I think for Riley or Mr. G. Willikers, I think it's easy for him to speak highly on the situation when things have just been so lovely. I mean, come on. He just always sounds like he's just astounded to be in this position. Like he could have never guessed he'd be. It's like, dude, yeah, this is what happens when you have all the right things going at Notre Dame. It does feel like an experience. So, Mr. G. Willikers, I'm excited for him. We knew that before the season happened that any quarterback that got the chance at this time to be that guy in the system would take off. And he's just doing what we knew and expected. Now he has to do his part to show us why we spent that money.
Yeah, that's fair, Left. That's very fair. Once again, objectively looking at the journey of Riley Leonard, you first have to tip your cap to how he's accepted what he didn't know or didn't believe, the openness that he had to say, yeah, this is different, and then the desire to go through the fire to get better at whatever he had to get better at. And to learn, I think it took him a while to realize I'm better knowing that the team around me is just as good or is just as good, if not better than me. It's safe to say for the first time that Riley Leonard is not the best offensive player on his team. He's never felt that.
Think about how easy it is to play with LeBron James when you're not the best player.
Do you really have to
come in and just work it? Like, man, just imagine how easy it was for D Wade to take a step back.
You do realize that D Wade had a championship where he was the lead dog, right?
Okay, but that was when he had to work hard.
That's a bad example.
He had to work hard.
Oh yeah, he had to work hard with a.
So when he got with LeBron, he said, "I could take the."
He had to work hard with the most dominant player in the paint. He had to work hard.
Here we go.
That's a bad example. I'm just telling you, it's a bad example. I'm just letting you know before you go down that road.
Facts, though.
It's a pitfall down that road. You can continue to go down that road. It might not line up exactly how you want it to line up, but you go ahead. Go ahead. Feel free. Feel free.
When you are a good player and you don't have to take on the challenge of being the best player on your team, so the mistakes and the risk that you would take being the best player, you don't have to do that. So you can be comfortable playing in the skin you're in. And I think he's gotten more comfortable doing that. He's like, man, why do I have to run around when I got Chris Mitchell out there? Why I can just go down because I know whatever the play is called next, we're going to get a chance. Hell, if I hand it off the right way, it might go for 60.
Mm-hmm.
I can sit back in the third quarter and cheer on my teammates because we're playing so well. So it's like I think that's always really good for a really good player to be in, to go from being the best player to now how do you work as a really good player around people that may be better. And we're starting to see that natural fit for him where he may not have the spectacular numbers, but he's got a great add to what we're asking him to do.
That's fair. That's fair. I don't have a problem with that. But I will say, as I said before, this is the first time he's not the best player on the team. The first time. And maybe it took, because the inverse took place. The best player was willing to take a step back. in order to ingratiate or allow Riley Leonard's game to take a step forward? Jeremiah Love took a step back, did he not? Did he not? Did they not have to get carries to Riley Leonard to get his game going? And Jeremiah Love was asked multiple weeks, like, how do you feel about quarterback getting more carries and being the leading rusher? Jeremiah Love was like, I love blocking for him, which that manifested itself on the field. The way he was lead blocking on quarterback power, quarterback lead. Those are the types of things that shows you, once again, why Marcus Freeman deserves every penny. Deserves every single penny. Riley Leonard, preparation, Left. Is he prepared for this moment, though, Left? That's the question. Is he prepared for the big moment? This is what he had to say.
Go back to probably when I started football when I was 6 years old. I've been in every situation, felt the highest of the highs and the lowest of the lows. So this, I've played in a lot of big time games too, right? Even my past at Duke, right? We had prime time games as well. So I've been in this situation. I know what it's like, and at the end of the day, like, what changes? I mean, really nothing.
Have you visualized this game through your mind?
I haven't tried to jump the gun. Coach Freeman's really big on staying in the moment. So, I haven't really tried to, go through my play-by-play yet. I've really just been focusing on practice and focusing on the tape. But obviously, those thoughts creep into your mind. But something he talks about a lot is, like, what's your thought after the thought? So whenever these thoughts creep into your mind of, unknown outcomes and hypotheticals, you gotta snap back in. So the second thought is what matters. So after that first initial bad thought, you gotta clock back into what's important now.
Left, what do you think this would feel like? Because you've been in this position. What does this feel like for the quarterback of Notre Dame? Home playoff game.
You're just excited, man. It's like I said, it passes by so fast because every day you're thinking about your job, right? So, he's got a lot more in-depth emotional thing that he's thinking about than I ever did, because it was just like, hell, at that time, it was like, dude, you got to do your job. You don't do your job, you're not going to play. It's really cut and dry. So, in a moment like this, you're excited to be at this level, but this is where you feel, especially being on the team, where you're like, okay, this is where the real season starts. The feeling in the building changes, practice temperature changes, guys a little more snappy. I think a lot of it is because, at Notre Dame, the expectation and standards, you want to be at a championship level. So the things that may be overwhelming for a team playing in neutral sites or being in a playoff position or used to being in 10-game win team or having a good season, we're used to those things, where our wins come in these moments like this, these playoff games, these winner go homes. This is what we're built for. So I do think that's where we have the edge over at IU. But for the quarterback position, you're just excited to be out there to play another game, man. There's nothing like being out there and starting that quarterback. So that desire, that feel that you get playing quarterback, regardless if you're winning or losing, is the feeling that you want to hold on to. So the more games you get a chance to do that, that's where the true experience comes from. And you just want to do as much as you can while you get that opportunity, because you realize, and Riley's situation is different because he's a year and done, but you realize, especially when you earn it to get into that spot, like, man, this is everything you could have wanted from a football player's perspective, Now, playing good is just a cherry on top. So that's kind of where that mindset goes. But on a day-to-day, you're just like, what's the thing I got to do Monday? Oh, watch this, do this, do this. Tuesday, I got to take these things out. So by the time you look up at the game, you're like, damn, it's game time. stuff is done, win the game. You know, I'm not really thinking, oh my gosh, this is Notre Dame in the moment. And, you know, now I do as a fan, but I know he's pretty focused on what he's got. He should be. And we'll see what happens, man. I'm confident about this game, but, you know, the rubber meets the road real soon.
That's a fact. And it begins Friday night, Notre Dame Stadium. Indiana Hoosiers, led by Kurt Signetti, invade South Bend Indy Stadium. Prime time to take on Marcus Freeman and his Fighting Irish of Notre Dame. Lucky Lefty podcast. Before we move on to talk portal mania and some recruiting issues left, you really didn't get a chance to talk about Marcus Freeman, the contract, and why the time is right. The timing was right. So go ahead and just end this segment for us talking about that, and then we can get to this. I really want to talk to this recruiting point that I have.
Yeah, so I do think it is the right time for Notre Dame to make this deal because, you know, like we talked about earlier, the Cowboys situation, you let it fester too long, you're going to pay him more than he probably want to, and then he'll start entertaining other different types of offers. So I do believe that he was well deserving because he proved himself as a program builder and not just a football coach. So I think those are the things that coaches want to cross over into once you become a head coach, is that, okay, I'm a program builder, where the resume starts getting lengthy. And Marcus Freeman has showed all the signs in a short amount of time that he can put together a roster and a program that meets the standard of what Notre Dame wants him to. They took a chance on him, and they're rewarding for that. So I think it's great to see them do it before they can evaluate if he's a playoff coach, because I think that's the next level where he can get even more money, is if he can go back and be like, hey, I'm 5-1 as a playoff coach, so that deserves a couple extra M's, you know what I mean? So I think that's going to be the new standard in college football for coaching, which will put a damper on coaches jumping around a lot, because now it's not about jumping around. It's about, can you get a team to that second season? So that's more than just a transfer portal. You got to be able to coach. So I think that gives a new achievement for coaches to strive for. But I think Marcus Freeman has gotten in that window, man. He just got right time, right place.
And yeah, just a couple of more notes. Charles Jagasaw, good news to hear that he's back practicing. Fantastic news, especially for the future of the offensive line. Jeremiah Love, though, practicing full go. Howard Cross practicing full go. CJ Carr was back throwing today. So
I don't think you can call Marcus Freeman like any other coach because you got new things in front of you. You know what I mean? Like the first gladiator had different challenges than the next gladiator, which was his son, you know.
Oh, you saw Gladiator too, huh? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So you can't say Marcus Freeman is like any of these other coaches because they've never had a playoff run, you know. So regular season wise, I guess you can compare, but I just want to see Marcus Freeman's coaching acumen grow against tighter teams in playoff situations.
Well, I will say this: Marcus Freeman didn't face a season where he could not lose. Lou Holtz could not lose. One loss and it was a wrap. There's no national championship. Marcus Freeman has no idea how that feels.
Yeah.
On a game-to-game basis, that's, and I'm not sitting here saying one is better than the other. I'm just saying he hasn't felt that. He hasn't felt that. A couple of GTB questions. John Massey, how about them girls Thursday night, 3-0 versus Top 5 teams already not even full strength. Start looking for a sculptor for the statue.
Yeah, we know how we feel about that. It's just a prime situation for it. You know, you played and won there. You assistant coach there and won there. Now you're the head coach, making great strides, potentially can win there. But just the effect that you've had on the players that came through there, a lot of first round picks, a lot of number one players on teams. You was in the NBA with John Morant. I mean, what is that? Your son is even in the NBA, hit a game winner the other night. So it's everything you touching seems to turn gold. You got 2 superstars right now. Every point guard you've had has done something spectacular. You've even had a point guard on Dancing with the Stars. How you do that? So I think this type of it's gonna be some statues built. You know, hopefully Shrewsbury get on that train too. He does some good work. So, you know, I think this is a good time for Notre Dame sports and the football and basketball department. And the girls team is just doing their thing, man. And they still don't have a dominant big, which I think will impact them later. But right now they fresh, so they can be guard fast and make things happen.
Yep. Let's get to another one. Tom Frawley, thank you for the GTB. Get your GTBs in or your super chats. We appreciate them all. Shaun or Malik, do you see Mike Denbrock opening up the offense and going with 20, 21, or 22 personnel on Friday? Got to get both running backs on the field.
Yeah, I think this game is just about winning the game to get the next week. So if it's boring, it's boring. I think we'll probably be more conservative than usual due to the weather, due to, you know, you're not looking to just crash out with Riley Leonard throwing the football all over the place out of context of what we've been doing all season. You go to the well. Heavy Jadarian, heavy Love, heavy Riley in the run game. We might do a couple passes here and there. Tight ends heavy. I mean, we know what we should do and what we can do. I don't think this is a team that's going to take away anything. So Denver's going to play it real plain and simple, and I think it's just a matter of how much do we want to play the next week.
One more. John Massey. Josh Allen balling. Bengals, Jags struggling. LeBron Diddy allegations. You good, Left?
How is Josh Allen balling? They're just
Left. Come on, Left. Are we really about to do this?
Anyway.
Oh man, bro.
Bron just taking time to support Bronny. That's all good.
You're so disrespectful, man.
The Jags are rebuild because we're trying to get Shadur. It's looking up.
Josh Allen isn't balling. Josh Allen isn't playing well. He's not playing.
Joe Burrow's playing well. Let's talk about that. Joe Burrow's playing well. It's the cast that's not. So
they literally went out and got him offensive line Left.
That's not the issue though.
Does he not have the best two of the best wide receivers in the league?
It's not the issue.
Doesn't he have a rookie wide receiver that might be the best rookie wide receiver in the league?
It's not the issue.
Outside of Neighbors. Let me preface that. Outside of Neighbors.
It's not the issue.
Oh, so now all of a sudden the defense. So now he's being exposed? Is that what you're telling me? Now that the defense has gotten worse, then Joe can't win games?
This is about coaching.
No, I'm just trolling now.
And strictly coaching.
Oh, but you defended him when I told you he was a bad coach.
At the time, Burrow covered a lot. This is clearly a coaching thing.
Did I not tell you Joe Burrow was covering up for Zach Taylor? Didn't I tell you that? I told you that months ago. Left. I was
traded on him. His head coach Taylor just went AWOL, man. Went AWOL. So good thing Joe's still playing well. Organization's cheap, so they're not going to pay Jamar Chase. And
that part.
We'll see what happens.
Hey, I'll make a trade with you.
Listen, no.
I'll send you DJ Moore and Keenan Allen, and you can give me Jamar Chase.
Keenan Allen's done.
Okay, I'll send you DJ Moore.
He was hurt for the first like 6 games.
I'll send you DJ Moore then. You might as well get something.
Feel like that.
I mean, you're not paying Jamar Chase. We can just get him in free agency. I'm trying to offer you some compensation.
Hey, man. Jamar Chase is going to stay with his quarterback if he's smart.
Jamar Chase is going to go get that money. He's that quarterback. You can say what you want to say. Money talks a little bit louder than staying with the quarterback.
Does it?
Heck yeah. We're talking about wide receivers, bro. It's not an offensive tackle. We're talking about wide receivers. If you think money doesn't matter to Jamar Chase, you are sadly mistaken. You are sadly mistaken.
We're only talking like 20 M's difference.
Say that again, Left. I want you to say that again and then hear yourself. Hear yourself say that again. Ladies and gents, I hope say it again. We're only talking about what?
Well, maybe not even that much.
Did I hear you correctly?
We'll probably say like a what? 5 to 10 mil difference.
So that's nothing.
5 to 10 mil difference is what?
That's nothing. 5 to 10 mil. It's only 5 to 10 mil.
That
hey, Jamar, it's only 5 to 10 mil.
That you leave your quarterback though.
You can stay with Joe, or you can come get an extra 10 mil and play with Caleb. That's all.
That's what I'm saying. You're
with a better head coach. That's all. That's all. That's all we're saying.
I don't know, man.
Hey, Zach Taylor.
So you will leave. So if you're making millions,
are you asking me or are you asking me to think of somebody else?
I'm asking Shaun Davis. You're the pastor of the church.
You don't even have to finish up.
Wait a minute.
You need the most money.
You're getting. Let's say hypothetically, you're getting paid
$20
million to be a pastor at your church. Church you're at right now.
Okay.
Church down the street's like, hey, I give you 25, 28. You come down here.
Okay.
And you pastor this church. You leave that church behind.
That's not the same thing. Now you're talking about churches. That's a totally different thing. Now you're bringing God into the picture. That's totally different. I do what God tells me to do. I do what God tells me to do.
5 to 10. Come on.
I do what God tells me to do. I do what God tells me to do. It's totally different. It's totally different. You tried to line me up. I see what you did there. You tried to line me up. You tried to line me up for that one. But
Wait a minute.
I peeped the game.
You got free will, Shaun.
No. Ain't no free will when you're dealing with the Now stop that. Stop that. I'm wise enough to know that. Come on now.
I'm just saying. You would have a hard time, you know.
That's right, Sean Paulus. I go where the Lord and the Spirit leads me. That's exactly right. Wherever he leads me. But my prayer would be for the Lord to lead me to the money. That would be my prayer. Lord, if it's all possible, please let this cup pass me by, but not my will. Your will be done. Your will be done. But hopefully your will is this money. Lucky Lefty podcast. Yeah, he tried to get me on that one. LL, he tried to get you, boy. We'll be right back. We spit it different.
What's up, family? The merch shop is finally here. Lucky Lefty Network merch shop. We got it all. From the shirts to the hoodies to the hats to the nitty gritties. Come here right now. Shop with us. Come get the swag because you know, if anything else, we spin it different. You see the gritty. You see how we get down. It's elite.
Lucky Lefty podcast. We are back. Malik, ZAIRE, Shaun Davis, brought to you by ONORA Whiskey, ONORAWhiskey.com, that premium American whiskey, ONORAWhiskey.com. And if you drink, by all means, make sure that you do it
responsibly.
Or responsibly. So, Left, I want to get to this because somebody mentioned this in the chat earlier. And can we just be honest as Notre Dame fans? Can we be honest? Marcus Freeman, his first 3 years, has never had the same recruiting schedule, calendar, or terms or rules. The portal has shifted and changed every single year. Yet still, he's built a roster with more depth, that plays physical, that's developed, and that shows up. So can we be honest as Notre Dame fans for a moment? Because this would probably help you. I saw someone in the chat say there was another platform whining and complaining about Marcus Freeman's recruiting. Are we really complaining about recruiting right now? See, you can tell me about stars and all of this, and then you can have Oklahoma has recruited, Venables has recruited, and that man has 21 players in the portal right now. 21. So what does all of those recruiting classes mean? They stole Peyton Bowen. And what has it produced? What has he done as a coach? Has he won as many games as Marcus Freeman? Is he in the playoffs? See, this is what I'm talking about, man. We can get caught up on getting the 5 stars and doing what Nick Saban was able to do in a totally different landscape, what Kirby Smart was able to do and establish at Georgia under different rules. Marcus Freeman has a whole set of rules outside of the college rules. He has to deal with the Notre Dame rules and the Notre Dame standards. And here we are now. People are complaining about recruiting. Some people are upset about portal opportunities. So I'm just going to give you a little bit of truth today. Just a little bit of truth. Notre Dame would never recruit the highest paid positions in recruiting and NIL and transfer portal money because they're Notre Dame. Notre Dame will never, ever get the best pass rusher or the best defensive tackle because that's where the most money goes in recruiting. It's $500K just to get in the living room. Notre Dame isn't doing that. Notre Dame isn't about to pay $8 million for a Nico. Heck, that was the issue with the Dante Moore situation. How much are you willing to pay? Some people question whether or not that was the issue with Deuce. A lot of people surmise that was the issue with Justin Scott, D tackle. Is Notre Dame going to pay what they need to pay to get that 5-star receiver? See, ladies and gentlemen, it's real simple. So stop fretting over it. Notre Dame, when it comes to interior defensive line, quarterback and wide receiver, is fighting an extremely uphill battle. An extremely uphill battle. It's not just about evaluation, relationship, recruiting. That's not what it's about at those positions. The landscape has changed in recruiting and in the portal. Those are the highly paid positions. D tackle, pass rusher, wide receiver, quarterback. So think it not strange that those are the areas that Notre Dame struggles in from a recruiting standpoint. Why can't we get the difference makers at wide receivers? Why can't we get the difference makers interior? Why can't we get the difference maker at pass rusher, at quarterback? Why can't we hold on to guys like Deuce Knight? Well, hell, excuse me for using the HE double hockey stick. The previous coach didn't even go after those guys. Didn't even give it a shot. So when he will fall back on guys like Drew Pine, Andrew Hendricks. Good guy, left guy, cool guy. But that was the fallback plan. His big swing was gonna kill. How'd he turn out? At least we have a guy that's willing to go fight for the big dogs. And if he loses some early, so what? At least he's fighting. The other dude didn't even fight. Didn't even show up. From day one, Marcus Freeman walked to the big dog table, the big dog poker table, and said, let's play. Yeah, I got less chips, but I'm going to stay here until I do what I need to do. And just like in Rounders Sunday night, they heard, pay that man his money. And Notre Dame answered the call. So Notre Dame fans, relax. Let your blood pressure come down. It's the reality of Notre Dame. It's the reality of the evolution of recruiting and NIL and the transfer portal. Notre Dame is not about to play ball in those areas and at those positions where the price is high. The price is high. Yesterday's price is not today's price for D-line, D-tackle, wide receiver, and quarterback. It's not. It's not, ladies and gentlemen. It's just not. So relax. Relax yourself. Let your conscience be free. Go listen to some DRE. Shout out to DRE Snoop on the release of the new album. But just come to understand, Notre Dame is who they are. Now here's something key to watch. This is just Sean Davis giving his opinion. I have nothing substantial to back this up. But if I was Marcus Freeman, after what I just endured, from an administration standpoint, as the first-time head coach at Notre Dame, I definitely took some arrows, in my opinion. If I were Marcus Freeman, this is me talking. If I were Marcus Freeman, I took some arrows for this program. I stood out there when I didn't have to, and I stood on business for us. Stood on business for us. And since I stood on business and we're in these negotiations for this contract, there's some things I need moving forward.
Yeah, he's got to put
I need a little extra money.
Yeah.
When it comes to NIL. I need some things loosened up when it comes to the transfer portal. Don't limit me to just grad guys. I need some undergrads with 2 years of eligibility left.
Do you think he'll want that with the way he recruits, though?
Heck yeah.
2 year guys?
Heck yeah.
In what position?
You need that. I just explained, Left. You need to be able to go get undergrad guys on the D-line, bro. If you got D-line, a D-line fifth-year dude, nah. What is he about to do? We've seen it, bro. Did you not see RJ Open this year? Did you not see that?
I didn't see it. That's the problem.
See, that's because it depends on the position. That's why it's a highly paid position in recruiting and the portal. If you get a fifth year, a Zeke Corral, that means something on the O-line. A fifth-year O-lineman, that means something. Yeah, go get that guy. Fifth-year quarterback, maybe. Maybe not. Fifth-year wide receiver, could be questionable. But there are certain positions where getting a grad transfer at nickel has worked for Notre Dame. It's worked. In certain positions, you can do that at. Other positions, you can't. So if I'm Marcus Freeman, I'm definitely in those negotiations saying, hey, you have to promise me some things. Because I took some arrows. I need some things.
I hope he's aggressive in that.
Notre Dame needs to be aggressive. See, Notre Dame, you can't look. You can't show money. You can't build all these facilities and show all this money on campus. You're about to have a home playoff game because we know you're about to make a mint.
Oh yeah, I got
This
people telling me
weekend.
they already going out there.
You already know. People are just going out there. I'm driving up Thursday just to kick it with double R. I'm driving up Thursday and driving back Thursday night, early Friday morning, just to kick it with double R. That's it. You're about to make a mint. You can't show that money and then get cheap. Marcus Freeman sees what's coming in. He knows what's coming in the back room. So it's not about the money. It's about the money to us and the buyout. When it comes to success and winning, which is what Marcus Freeman wants to do, I need some concessions. I need some promises. Help me help you. Help me help you. Because if I win, if you're making this amount of money, we haven't hoisted the trophy yet, just wait. Yo, who's that? Ron DeSantis was at the Army-Navy game. His son was rocking a Notre Dame jersey at the Army-Navy game. This brand is ready to explode. This brand is ready to explode. If Notre Dame gives Marcus Freeman, just give him 1 or 2 undergrads in the portal. Just 1 or 2. 1 or 2. That's all it takes. 1 or 2. That's it. Which leads me to this, Left. Rumors were swirling all last week. All last week, Notre Dame might possibly be looking at quarterbacks in the portal. And initially, I was like, man, that's crazy. We doing this again? Then I took a step back, Left. And you know what I said? Because Marcus Freeman, on multiple occasions, on National Signing Day and at his presser recently, said, look, man, our quarterback is on the roster. Our quarterback is on the roster. I just want to give a different perspective because I'm not saying that Notre Dame is going to the portal. What I am saying is if they go to the portal, I'm not mad. I'm not mad because I don't focus on words as much as I focus on actions. And as I said before, Marcus Freeman has not, this is the first time he's previously gone into the portal, but the portal opened after the bowl season. The portal opened literally right after he signed his recruiting class for 2025. It's a totally different day. So when Marcus Freeman says, yo, we believe our guy's on the roster, he's not lying if he switches up in a month or so, because we don't know what can happen in a month or so. We don't know. We don't know. What Marcus Freeman had surmised is Riley Leonard wasn't what he was built up to be, but he was good enough for us to win and have a legitimate shot at winning a national championship. So Marcus Freeman to himself has to be saying, look, this program is built to a point from a depth standpoint that if we get a guy that can just perform, you don't have to be the best player on the team. You don't have to carry us like Cam Ward had to go to Miami because they're built on sinking sand. Riley Leonard was able to come in, play poorly, and get better because of the surrounding cast and the depth. Marcus Freeman sees that. He knows that. And now he's saying to himself, yo, I might be finding the formula for the quarterback that needs to be here in Notre Dame based upon what we have created. But you still go out after the best. I'm not saying you still shoot for the stars. Recruiting, shoot for the stars. But you can still win if you don't get those guys. Now, here's let's just say follow the actions of Marcus Freeman. This is what I say, follow the actions. Marcus Freeman, every year he has been here, has been very open that in the month of late November or early December, everyone in the program receives a conversation about their standing in the program. Everyone. He's done it 2 consecutive years with the quarterback. You know he's done it with this quarterback room. You know he's had the conversation. This is where you stand with us. Throw in the injury, the elbow injury. Good to hear that CJ was at practice throwing the ball well with some zip. It's great to hear. Still doesn't change the fact that that elbow bears watching moving forward. It bears watching. And we don't know the conversations. So when Marcus Freeman says, we believe a quarterback is in the room, that's fine. But Marcus Freeman does not control what Steve Angeli wants and what Kenny Minchie wants after this playoff run is over. Marcus Freeman can't control that. So now, let's just say, hypothetically, Kenny Minchie says, I'm out. Because Marcus Freeman wants all 3 to come back and participate in this quarterback competition, which for me is like a 3-horse dude. I don't want to see that, but it is what it is. But literally, 2 of those quarterbacks could say, deuces, I'm out. And I wouldn't be mad at either one. Either of the 2 that say I'm out. Does not Marcus Freeman have to go to the portal then? And if he goes to the portal, does he have that much belief in which quarterback is left to just say, you're the guy, I'm not going to give you any competition? No, Tyler Buckner's not the answer. He's not the answer. This is why I've taken a step back and I've said, you know what? Based upon how things go, he's speaking truthfully from where things stand today. Our quarterback is in our room. But in another 3 or 4 weeks, based upon decisions that are made that are outside his control, things could be different. And I'm not mad at it one bit. Not mad at them doing their due diligence if that indeed has taken place. I cannot confirm that that has taken place, but if that has taken place, I'm not mad at it. Do your due diligence, because the portal was totally different and has never been activated this early. So you are almost forced as a program to do your due diligence at every single position because you don't know what's going to happen. We applaud the fact that Notre Dame players are along for the ride. Backup quarterback for Penn State just hopped in the portal. So if Drew Allen goes down, what does Penn State do? What do they do? Everything's different, and they have to get this right because this could affect a playoff game. Maybe not this year, but down the line, they need to make some adjustments because this is a little tricky now. This is a little tricky. Maybe after the quarterfinals, you let the portal open. Maybe after the first round, you allow the portal to open. Right? But for playoff teams to be losing guys that are bouncing, they're literally bouncing on the possibility of playing in the playoff. That's crazy, but those are the times that we're in. So, yeah, I'm not mad if Notre Dame is doing their due diligence, if they're checking in with people, if they're saying, yo, in case this happens, we've already established a line with this guy that we can reconnect with or connect with. And then you have another portal opening that is coming on the other side. So I just initially I'm with a lot of people like, man, look, it's time for us to recruit and develop our own guys. Let's stop this 1 year stuff. But then on the flip side, it's like, yo, because of the evolution of things, you're not doing your job if you're not preparing yourself for every possible situation. You're just not. You're just not. So I'm not mad at it. I'm not mad at it. And once again, I'm not saying that I know anything. I'm just telling you. The rumors are out there. And if the rumors are out there, you could take it as smoke and say there must be a fire there. If you want to do that, fine. Notre Dame and football programs at an elite level have to do their due diligence. And in doing so, they have to. They just have to. So I'm not mad at it. And it could be nothing, right? Because once again, I follow the actions of Marcus Freeman. I hear his words, but his actions have been honest conversation with the quarterback room about where they stand and his intentions. And he has intentions as of today, and he has intentions that might be totally different if two young men inside their room decide to transfer out of the program. It is what it is. It is what it is. So I hope that perspective gives some ease to Notre Dame fans when it comes to transfer portal and recruiting, to say, look, relax and be honest about Notre Dame when it comes to recruiting and transfers at the high salary, and I can't believe that I'm saying this now, the high salary positions of D-line, wide receiver, and quarterback. Notre Dame is not about to play. They can play big bank, take little bank, but they're not about to do that. They've shown you that. Follow their actions. Follow their actions. I hope they get concessions.
Yeah, and I think that
with the NIL moving forward to Marcus Freeman, along with the new contract, we have to wait and see.
You had agreed. I mean,
go ahead.
Tyler Buckner might show the roadmap to what Marcus Freeman is leaning towards. I mean, hell, if everybody has to play multiple positions, technically Tyler Buckner is showing that, okay, you can still be useful as a utility player, as a guy who knows the team guy. You just happen to know quarterback very well. You can help guys get acclimated in case we do the transfer thing. If I get some more adjustment, I can bring guys in and have them exist. It's just he's building a different environment. And I think that the environment is a positive because you see guys aren't leaving. So that means guys see possibilities, and maybe it's in different roles. Emil Wagner came in two-way, found a role. Xavier Watts found a role, became a first-round pick. So it seems as though the transfers have been a good use to implement into this culture of the best will play. But if you come here, you also have a plan if you're patient enough.
Yeah. Just a different perspective, man, because it's always a hot topic, right? And everybody wants to talk about recruiting and transfer portals. I mean, look, I understand it's the foundation of winning championships. But at the end of the day, Notre Dame fans have to be honest about Notre Dame just being different, right? Brian Kelly didn't lie about Notre Dame being different, but he didn't tell the whole story, and including that he just happened to be lazy because of it. Tell the whole story. Yes, Notre Dame is different. That is the truth. But also speak that truth. You were a little lazy, my man. You're a little lazy when it comes to recruiting. and really not aggressive enough to go after the big guys just because you want to use Notre Dame as an excuse and how different it is. It's not good enough. That's not what Marcus Freeman is doing. No excuses. We can go get the top guys. We can go after them. And if we don't, we're going to keep trying. And what's going to change that, Left? You know what changed the game? Beating Georgia in the quarterfinals.
Right. That's what I'm saying. That's why
beating Georgia changed the game. It changed the business.
Absolutely. I think that's exactly why it's so interesting to see how Marcus Freeman has been able to position himself for these things. We knew before the season, in a lot of sense, we were a one-loss team with 2 wins potential. The Georgia team and how it's scheduled is that second team that can determine whether, in my opinion, the season was a wash from a very harsh criticism, because there's a ton of amazing things that happened. But for the perspective of Marcus Freeman's tenure, that would technically be considered as a failure. Right? Because everybody knew he was 11 win because of the schedule, regardless of but expecting the team that you're supposed to have. Everything a third year is supposed to be. This is, shout out to Schwarbrick, but he set it up real nice. This is a fast break dunk. This ain't even like you got to work the offense in a half court set. This is like, man, Chris Paul, Blake Griffin, Lob City. So, not that people aren't expecting you to miss, is what I'm saying.
Man, can you imagine the buzz? See, this is why that fake bravado coming from people when Notre Dame's not relevant. Can you imagine the buzz and the numbers that Georgia Notre Dame is going to do in a quarterfinal matchup?
Yeah, that's what they want to see on TV.
Oh yeah. Yeah,
because come on, they didn't want to see it against Boise. They hoping Oregon is the last test, So in Texas, they feel like we can beat them. So they want that Georgia game where, regardless of what Georgia did this year, the homers for the SEC are going to be like, well, we got us another one.
Yep.
They want them SEC homers because if we don't see Georgia to the end, they're going to be worried. Because we're going to build momentum. They're going to see how we wiping these teams that we can blow a SMU out. We can blow, you know what I'm saying? They want to see us out early. So I know they put Georgia there on purpose. Because how else do you rank it? You know what I mean? So anyway, they put us in that position. That's great. Because if we get them out, there's no way we don't have a country behind us.
Yeah. And it's I'm going to be honest, man. To seal the deal on this, it's just certain things, I don't even think Derek Meadows was a 4-star, but Derek Meadows was all right to me. And Tanuk Hines was a bigger loss than Derek Meadows to me. Tanuk Hines was the one cat I was like, yeah, I want that kid. So, they go down to the wire. They lose Derek Meadows. But Derek Meadows went with a top-notch quarterback in the 2025 class. That's what he chose. From a recruiting standpoint, if you don't have a top-notch quarterback, you're probably not going to attract top-notch receivers. You're going to have a difficult time. Go back to the recruitment of a certain player out of Chicago when he said, who am I playing with? These are things that eventually, this is why beating a team like Georgia would mean so much. So you can ramp up that attention. So you can get guys in that try to attract other guys. Notre Dame will never have a problem attracting linebackers. You know why? Manti, Jalen, Tranquil. It's a long list of guys. They'll never have a problem getting offensive linemen. Why? You named them. We just had one go in the top 10. Name them. Top players want to know, who am I playing with? On top of, how much are you paying me? What's in it for me? It's horrible. I don't like it one bit. I'm right there with you. I don't like it one bit. But that's the way it is. That's the way it is. And jokingly, you say JD and Maris is playing his tail off for the Cowboys. Maris is balling. Maris has become very much a positive for linebacker recruiting, the way he's playing in the NFL. It's like Notre Dame does not have that long list of wide receivers or quarterbacks or defensive tackles. That's just like breadcrumbs for youngsters to see, like, oh, snap. That's why you go play that position at Notre Dame. They don't have it. They don't have it. But unfortunately, man, to get in that race, it's an entry fee. At the high stakes table, what's the basic? Is it because I wouldn't know this, Left. If you go to a casino in Vegas, the high the big boy table, what's the buy-in? Like $250 minimum to sit down? $250 minimum?
Just sit down, yeah.
And for wide receivers, quarterbacks, and defensive linemen, pass rushers, elite pass rushers, and D tackles, there is a buy-in. There's a minimum.
It's obvious in how we recruit, because those are the places where we feel like we need the most growth. And the way we play it is through transfers and guys stepping up, but there's no real big effort. Like for quarterback, it's been no question. We knew the guy before the season was over. And he is the best guy available. We don't do that for the positions you mentioned, which, you know, in my opinion, would take us over the top if we were to make a better effort doing it.
Yeah. All right, Left, we'll be with you each and every day leading into the game on Friday. Hope to see some of you guys around town. If you're going to be in South Bend on Thursday, say what's up. I'm sure it's going to be lit. It's going to be lit. Be careful, because I'm sure state troopers are going to be thirsty this week, knowing that everybody's driving up, especially leading into a holiday. So be careful if you're driving into South Bend. Watch your back. Watch your six. Lucky Lefty podcast. Anything before we get out of here, Left? We'll really start digging into this matchup and some of the matchups tomorrow, and we'll hear more from Marcus Freeman and more from the rest of the captains on the squad. Anything else before we get out of here today, Left?
Shout out Travis Hunter, man. Won 7 awards. That's pretty cool.
Yeah. Shout out to Travis. And man, take it easy on that young lady, man. Take it easy, man.
No.
I'm not here to say, man, that he thinks he loves. He really thinks he loves. You can tell.
No.
But
don't do it. It's because it's like people know he's going to make so much money.
Left, the signs are there. I don't disagree with anybody on the signs and the red flags. I don't disagree at all.
If you become a trending topic talking about it, it's like, dude, everybody's like, please don't.
He has to learn. We can't learn it for him, Left. He has to learn. Let him go ahead and go through it. He'll see it. He'll wake up eventually. I guarantee you, Prime is telling him we protecting all these assets. That's the last thing I'm worried about. Because Prime is going to make sure, like, no. Before we do this, and this has to be done. And I was really chill on the subject until I saw the interaction at the Adidas event in New York. And I was like, okay. I was like, yeah, you're not even smart enough to know how to ride.
Can't even navigate.
You're not even smart enough to know how to be a passenger on this ride. Yeah. No.
Nope.
Nope.
Don't even.
Can't even do it. Can't even do it. But to me, the stars of the weekend were Cam Ward and Shador. And their whole thing with New York and throwing in the street with Malik Neighbors. I'm like, yo, these cats out here. That cat Malik Neighbors is like, yeah, dude. One of these dudes are my quarterback. I'll take either one. Either one. Great business trip. Great business trip. Man. So for Left SD2 mics, man, have a great Monday. But most of all, you guys have to continue to make sure that you spin it different, man. Continue to be blessed, man. We'll see you guys tomorrow.